Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in Yamato. And we're on Two Brothers. And I spawned mid. And I think we all know where this is going. You guys know I love to go up the mid, so guess what? We're going up the mid and we're taking Yami with us. So yeah, hopefully you guys are ready. It's gonna be a fun one. So we're gonna go straight up the middle. Yami is one of those battleships that's like perfectly suited for this. Because it's really only weakness for Yami is another Yami and getting caught broadside. And it's kind of hard to get caught broadside when you're in a trench. Just saying. So yeah, we're going to be able to go in there. We're going to keep our guns facing forward. Now, you got to be careful here because there are 3 destroyers. And if they get wind that a battleship is in a gap where, I mean, you really can't miss. Like, it's not like I can dodge torpedoes easily in this. So it's going to be one of those games. You got to be very, very aware of what's going on around you. And we're going to have a fun game. Now, right off the bat, I wasn't sure what I was going to get here. I didn't know if my destroyer was going to help me going up the middle. It's pretty rare for a destroyer to go up mid with you, but I believe in this case the destroyer does actually go up mid. And it's actually huge because it comes in real handy. Like, real handy. You'll see why in a moment. He's faster than I, obviously, and so he's going to get out ahead of us, and it's a Kaba at that. So I'm like, great, we've got a Kaba here. If a destroyer does come at me, I've got a way to kill it pretty easily because Kaba just eats destroyers for lunch. And so I'm feeling pretty good about it. And so we're going to follow this guy in. We're going to take and see if we can't channel our inner flambass and pull this one out. Now, the whole point of going up the middle on Two Brothers is twofold. One, you want to get the enemy's attention. Why is that important? Well, if you can pull enough people back to fight you, then your teammates have time to get the flanks. Now, right off the bat, gearing is spotted, which means Kaba is also spotted. They start engaging. Notice the delay on both of their parts of getting their guns involved. It's because they're both launching torpedoes, so they both need to be very aware of the fact that torpedoes are on the way. Now, my Kaba player seems to be doing okay in terms of, you know, paying attention, trying not to get himself into too much trouble. The gearing must have smoked up is the only reason I can think for him to go dark here, but no, he actually gets him in. And this is what I was talking about. When you're going into this gap, you are basically guaranteed to be taking torpedoes if there's a destroyer here. Now, that being said, he torps back at our destroyer, and I think our destroyer manages to dodge easily enough. And now we are finally getting ourselves into the fight. Now, obviously, the enemy just saw the destroyer. However, they did not see me. And we do get radared here. But it's unfortunately too late for this Brandenburg as he's broadside on expecting a Kaba, and he gets a full face of Yami. And Yami does not play around with broadsides, especially at these kinds of ranges. Even I can't miss these shots. Like, it's pretty impressive. But obviously Brandenburg has torpedoes, so we have to respect that. We don't want to just YOLO towards the guy. We want to keep our distance. We know that we can punch through his bow. All we got to do is aim a little bit higher. He's giving up the side right now, so we get another good penetration there. Obviously, we know torpedoes are probably already on their way. If not, they will be shortly. So we're going to go ahead, stop the ship, and start reversing. He gets a fire on us, and I actually make a huge mistake here. I shouldn't have put that fire out. I should have let that burn until I see the torpedoes, because I know there are torpedoes. Now, the Japanese battleships have very short duration on their damage control, which means that if you're not careful, you will run into the issue of having, more often than not, taking a perma-flood or perma-fire immediately after damage conning, as we could have very well done right there. So, now that those are done, now, unfortunately, our Kaba gets hit by those Shima torps, and the fact that it's a Shima is terrifying. So we do not want to play around with the Shima. Missouri is the one that was radaring us, and then the Shima comes out right in front of the torpedo. I'm like, is he going to get taken out? Is he? And the answer is no. So we have to fire the guns. I screw up. I fire the guns before he finished his turn. And that's one of the things about this game and the aiming system. The aiming system is basically inertia based. So like if somebody's going forward or reversing and you fire your guns prematurely, the guns are going to aim regardless of where your pointer is. Your guns are going to aim ahead or behind where you're actually aiming, just due to the fact that the guy was heading in that direction. So the game is trying to assist you with your shot. So you got to be careful there. We do get fortunate that he'd already launched his torpedoes. He probably had one set left, maybe. We saw 2 of them for sure. And him YOLOing us, we were going to get another shot. He was not going to be able to dump torpedoes on us. But that's 2 of their destroyers down in the center gap. We traded 1 destroyer for 2 destroyers. And on top of that, we also have the attention of at least 2 of their battleships, if not the Missouri as well. And look at my team's positioning. They're able to win their flanks. Why? Because we've got everybody's attention. That is the purpose of this. It isn't to rush straight through into the enemy cap, and I don't even want to talk about that shot. That was awful. Like, that should have been at least a Citadel. I mean, it's a Veneto, for God's sakes. It's broadside on to a Yami at 6.5 kilometers, and I only hit him with 2 shells and did nothing. But again, the goal isn't always to just rush straight through. Sometimes it's just to get everybody's attention, to allow your team to move up, and then everybody can focus people down, and you have people in crossfires. Now, seeing that the enemies have kind of left us alone, we have to start to push forward again. So we've got to get some attention back on us, so that our guys, because if we stay in here and we aren't actually able to shoot at anybody and nobody's shooting at us, then we're not being effective. So we have to move up to a point where we can actually shoot at things, or at least get their attention to come back to us. And I believe we are going to get that from this Veneto. I think this is the Veneto going all the way back around. Missouri is showing his hand. We're going to go ahead and wait to see his bow so that we make a good shot. We notice that it is perfectly aimed, so we're good. We take the shot, and, you know, broadside to a Yami in a American battleship, that's going to be death. Like, it's just death. At any range, really. But Veneto comes back around. He wants another piece, and he apparently was feeling pretty confident about taking on a Yamato after he had already gotten lucky once. This time he's at least not full broadside, but we'll see if he stays that way. He's bow in. We know we overmatch, and look at that accuracy. That's the one we want. 10,000 damage straight through the bow, and he looks to be staying bow in, coming right for us. So here's where we got to be careful in the Yami. This guy has some speed. If he can get alongside us, we are dead. So we have to anticipate. So we are already in reverse. We're already trying to get our ship to stop and go in reverse. We know we can keep him at bay. We can do a lot of damage through the bow of his ship as we hit him for another 13,000. You can see his health is deteriorating rapidly, just due to the fact that the Yami's 460mm 18.1-inch guns. Nasty guns. We get the ship finally reversing, so that's going to buy us a little bit more time. Remember, Yami has a pretty good reload too, at 25 seconds, so you can't sleep on the Yami. It's got nasty guns, and it reloads relatively quickly. We get a terrible salvo there. 3 shells hit, but didn't really do much in the way of damage. So I'm worried at this point that I'm getting rammed. Like, I am pretty confident at this point that I'm getting rammed. He's got too many hit points. I'm not going to kill him through the front. At this point, I'm fairly confident I'm being rammed. That last shot really screwed us. So here you can see I'm going through that cheek, hoping to get a little bit of a cheeky shot. I know, pun intended. But you can see we are taking all of his health away. And here, it just comes down to trying to turn away from this man to limit the amount of damage he's going to get on us. And pray to God we survive the ram, and we do. And we immediately trigger the damage con and the heal to keep us alive. And we get the Die Hard medal. Like that, we just lost a stupid amount of hit points to that ram. And it really annoys me that they get full damage like that. And you know, I'm surprised it didn't kill me, honestly. I mean, obviously I'm in reverse. I'm turning my ship away from the impact, so it shouldn't be as severe. But for whatever reason in this game, like, rams are death 90% of the time. It's disgusting. It's a loser's way to fight, and he took the majority of my hit points right there. And for him, I guess it's a great trade, but for me, you know, it's just really annoying. Now, this game could go either way. They still have a destroyer, which is a huge advantage. My team has kind of backed off. We got a cruiser going all the way to the back of the map. We've got a battleship all the way at the back of the map. And we have a battleship all the way out on the wing of the map. Now, the battleship on the right is actually in a good position. He could potentially give crossfire without taking too much damage in return. I've got to be careful, though. 21,000 health isn't a lot, and I don't have anyone anywhere near me for will to rebuild. We are located. We know that the enemy knows where I'm at. So, the guy on the left is actually able to shoot at these guys, and he is actually keeping them spotted. So, there's that. And while he has their attention, I can do a couple of things. I can either turn out away from these guys and try to angle on my way out, or I can try to bow into these guys and see if we can't put ourselves in a position to go bow in. Now, initially, I just want to bide time until my teammates can come up and make something happen. We don't have the hit points to get in a fight with 2 battleships and a supercruiser. I mean, it is an Azuma. 305mm guns are pretty nasty. Even if it is an Azuma, it's still nasty. So we can't be just sailing out into that. So what I do is I position myself in a cap, and I force these guys to acknowledge the fact that I'm in the cap. They have to come and take me out of the cap, or at least contest it. And even if they just contest it, we're still going to be gaining points because we're denying them points. So in a normal capture the base mode, you get 3 points per tick, right? If you notice up in the top, you'll be getting 3 points every tick, normally. And I thought, oh, it's 2 points. 2 points per tick. So every so often we get 2 points. They would also be getting 2 points if I wasn't in their base captured. So the fact that I'm in their base, I'm denying 2 points every couple of seconds, which is a huge advantage for my team. And they can't sit there because they will lose the match, obviously. Now you can see the enemy Yami is caught. He's got very little health left. We've got the battleship behind him coming in. We've got me right here. I don't want to pull out and give the Yami a chance to kill me. Once he's been dealt with, I start to think about pushing. Remember, I still have no idea where this destroyer is. The cruiser has now teamed up with our battleship, which is actually not the worst thing that could happen. At least he's going to, you know, maybe provide some will to rebuild. Brandenburg has torpedoes, so another reason I don't want to just YOLO in there. Brandenburg is just sitting there waiting for me at this point. And they keep putting up planes. They keep knowing where I'm at. I keep shooting them down. So there's that. So at this point, it's kind of a stalemate, but we have the advantage. I don't need to do anything here, and we win this match. Like, all I got to do is sit here. As long as my teammates don't do anything stupid and get themselves killed, we should be good. But because my battleship is doing what he's doing, I feel like I have to push up and try to help. The 2 guys on the left, I have no idea how much health they have. I haven't looked. So at this point, I make the decision to turn away from them so that I'm trying to angle as best I can. The enemy Yami goes down, which is exactly what I was waiting for. And here, I figure I'm getting blasted, but luckily his guns are not ready yet. We get a very nasty salvo out on him with 5 full penetrations, 2 overpins. He gets to return fire. Doesn't citadel us because we got angled enough, but we did take quite a chunk of damage, over 5,000 damage, and his secondaries are nasty. And it's at this point I'm like, okay, well, I know I'm dead. My battleship buddy has turned towards the edge of the map for some reason. And between this Azuma and this Brandenburg, I'm screwed. So I decide to try to kill the Azuma, or at least take as much health off of it as possible before I go down. And for some reason, we did not citadel with an Azuma. I don't understand it. Usually Azuma is made of citadels, but for whatever reason we didn't. But we did take the majority of both of these guys' health, and that's going to allow our teammates to have that advantage. So while we end up going down here, we had the lead. We gave the friendlies the best possible option. We have a Richelieu getting will to rebuild by our cruiser buddy, and that just allows these guys to run over these guys from here on out. We've got a Cleveland, we've got the Bismarck in the backfield, and these guys are just fish in a barrel. Less than a minute left. No idea where their destroyer ended up. But clearly he's being ineffective. And Bismarck manages to take out the Azuma, which takes out any chance that the Brandenburg has for will to rebuild. Brandenburg immediately repays the favor by taking out the Bismarck. And then the Cleveland and Richelieu are going to start pummeling this Brandenburg, because he's basically just sitting there begging for it at this point. Now, you still got to be careful here. There's only 17 seconds left, but that means he's probably going to get one more shot at one of these guys. And he could potentially kill him, and then if the destroyer gets one of them and the battleship gets the other, that's GG. Fortunately, the destroyer managed to shoot his torpedoes at the Bismarck, who was dying, rather than the two guys that were rushing forward. So we get pretty fortunate there, and we get the win. 2,500 base XP, top of the leaderboard, 3 kills in the Army, going up the middle on Two Brothers. So if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.